Hey everyone, I'm Shay and I want to share with you something that I made that I'm really excited about. My hair's in the way. Mindful communication is sexy AF. Yeah. I want to share with you what mindful communication is and 3 ways you can start to use mindful communication in your life right now. So, mindful communication is really what it sounds like. It's being considerate, it's being mindful, it's having deeper awareness over the way in which you are communicating with other people. That's so important because we haven't really been taught how to communicate. We've been taught to read, we've been taught to write, we've been taught to speak certain languages or language. But we haven't been taught how to use those tools and our body language as well. That's something we're actually not even taught. How to use them in ways where we can fully express our authentic truth, where we can connect with another person more deeply, where we can share our truth, our needs, our desires, where we can listen deeply to another person, where we can hold their point of view as different from our point of view and not create conflict. I don't know about you, but I grew up in a family where the communication was terrible. And I don't just mean it wasn't effective. It was hurtful. It was passive aggressive. It created so much pain and hurt. And I grew up witnessing this as a child. Later on, I would go to learn about it more, deepen my studies with it, practice it, and now teach it. And probably largely because my experience with it early in life was seeing how it could tear people apart. And I am so geared toward connecting, truly connecting, not only with ourselves first and foremost, but with others, creating beautiful, authentic relationships. Because I know the pain of having really painful relationships and witnessing that. So mindfully communicating is not to manipulate. It's not to have this very rational formula that will make you get what you want all of the time, or make that other person always see what you see, or have them agree with you. It's not about that. It's about coming into more loving, truthful, powerful ways to relate to the other person. Mindful communication helps you in your personal relationships and in your professional life as well, in the way that you communicate your message. So, 3 ways to implement mindful communication in your life right now. 1, be patient, pause before you share anything. Before you share anything that you feel is quite emotional, deep, maybe a little bit counter to what that other person believes or has just told you. I don't mean like in a conversation that's flowing, you have to pause before you respond and then respond. It's like that's a very clunky, unflowing way to communicate. But I mean when you are sharing something that would otherwise be difficult to share, or otherwise create a little bit of tension or conflict, that has done that in the past, pause. Pause enough to feel into whether what you have to share is your authentic truth, is coming from a place of really deep embodied wisdom, belief, truth in how you really feel, or whether it is a sparked kind of trigger or wounding or insecurity that's going to come out in a way where you'll say something you don't really mean, where you say something that doesn't really have a purpose other than to try to hurt the other person or prove yourself in some way. When you pause enough, you can look at, what is my intention for sharing this? Why am I sharing this? Is it actually necessary? Will it help the situation? Will it make me feel like I'm shutting some part of me down if I don't share it? So pause and reflect. Why am I sharing this? That's one way to mindfully communicate. The second way you can communicate more mindfully is to be impeccable with owning your experience. What I mean by that is when you're sharing something, especially again, quite emotional, and maybe it's about a certain situation where somebody has said something and your response has been one of hurt or confusion. Own your experience impeccably. That is owning what is yours, what your response is, and not making anyone else responsible for the way that you feel. Now, this is hard because they might have actually hurt you, but there's a certain way that you can share that isn't going to be an attack on them, which then elicits them to be defensive or to attack you back. How many times have you ever shared, you really hurt me with this, and then it being responded to in a way where they're defending quite intensely or attacking? Instead of blaming in that way, you can instead share, when you shared this, I feel hurt. My response is this. My reaction to that is this. Can you hear that language? My response, my reaction. When you did this, I felt this way. See how different that is to you made me feel like this. The reason why this is powerful is because, one, by you taking ownership of your experience, you are actually more empowered in that experience. You're not a victim of them doing that to you. You feel this way, the power stays within you to either continue feeling that way or to change it. It actually feels energetically much more powerful. And at the same time, you're not putting this energy out there where you're making them, blaming them for your experience. Now, yes, their actions may have elicited your experience, but if you're wanting to talk about it and talk about it not in an argument, but to actually talk about it, then you will reduce the chance of them being defensive or attacking by not blaming them, by using that impeccable ownership in your language. Finally, the third way to mindfully communicate is to listen very deeply. We think of communication only as what we're putting out, as if it's only about the output. But actually, so much of communication, effective communication, is listening, being curious to really listen to that person's perspective. I don't mean believing in their perspective or agreeing with it if that doesn't feel true for you, but listening. Really listen to what's being shared. And if you're not understanding, ask questions. So much of the time, we're operating in communication under assumptions. We're assuming that they mean this, they're assuming that we mean that, and then we're communicating not from the truth of the matter, but from our own assumptions and stories about it. But if we take the time to fully listen to actually what each person is saying, and not just what they're saying, what they're meaning, by asking more questions about what they mean, then we stay in the truth. We stay in this more grounded place where we're not creating more confusion and miscommunication. We'll feel more connected. They will feel more connected to us if we're listening to them deeply. They'll be more likely to listen to us deeply. And it is such a healing elixir to be listened to deeply, right? We all want to be heard, seen, and understood. So if you just take these 3 small tips away with you, you can really enhance the quality of your interactions and your relationships. Pause and check in why you're sharing what you have to share. Take radical ownership of your experience through your language, and listen deeply. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Shay, founder of My Freedom Frequency, and I believe that mindful communication is sexy AF. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm super active on there. My website and my courses that are running are all down below. I have an Art of Communication 6-week online course that if you sign up to today, you can start it today and you have it for life. Take as long as you like with it. If you want to take more than 6 weeks, go for it. And I also share other tips and tools for self-transformation, relationship harmony, and ways that you can fully express yourself in my videos here on YouTube. So subscribe if you aren't already so you can get notified of new videos coming your way. Thank you for joining me today.